How's it going there, everyone? It's Mr. Zan over here with a brand new Nanatsu no Taizai chapter discussion. And for today's segment, we'll be talking about two chapters, folks. Chapter 180 and chapter 181. And yes, folks, these chapters are going along very greatly. We're getting into a new pacing, a new story arc. I'm just wondering what Nakabe is actually trying to do, because of the fact that where the characters are actually heading to is just something unexpected that I wasn't really kind of focusing on. But first, let's talk about chapter 180, The Wandering Knight. Yes, folks, in this chapter, we literally look at Elizabeth and Hawk's interaction while Meliodas is away. And we clearly see that she's actually running the Boar's Tavern very effectively and very nicely, as there are dark times in Britannia, and she's actually uplifting the spirits of the humans themselves because of the fact they have nowhere to go. There's nowhere they can feel safe. And in the Boar's Tavern, they feel perfectly safe because of the fact that it's the only sane place that they can feel and be themselves without the demons at hand, or at least just looking at them, you can clearly kind of see. But I personally like the fact that in chapter 180, it was a letdown and very different from the other chapters because of the fact that we actually get introduced from a very old recurring character. Yes, folks, it was from the Weird Fangs, Golgias, and that character, he's back, folks. At first I didn't recognize him, but then when I started reading, I was like, oh wait, it's this guy now. I can't believe I actually forgot about this guy. I was trying to clearly remember who he was, but it just clicked on me as I kept reading that chapter. And when he was introduced, we could clearly see he's still damaged, and he actually does feel a little bit of regret in the chapter because of the fact that Elizabeth was actually helping him, healing his wounds. She was being so nice to him. She held no personal grudge towards him. And yet he felt that, what he was doing is actually, he feel like as if he's being tormented by the world itself because of the fact of all the stuff that he's done in the past. And now he's actually, he's just suffering, and he's trying to get that. You could clearly see he's trying to cleanse his spirit or something along the line of that too, because of the fact that he's actually, I feel like his character is going to a new direction where it's not necessarily, I would say, heading in the wrong direction. It's going in the right direction of him becoming a better person, him elevating in the right mindset, and I'm personally loving the way that this character is heading to. I'm just hoping that they bring him back again. It's been like such a long time since they actually introduced this Golgias' character, and I thought might have been dead, to be honest, knowing him. But because of the fact that his teleportation ability, he's probably makes it kind of also at the same time suspectable that he's been alive because of the fact that he's able to just quickly outmaneuver many opponents, but for how long too at the same time. But at the end of chapter 180, we clearly then get to see that there's a character that has been introduced that has yet to say any lines throughout the whole entire story. And yes, folks, let me hear it, guys, for Zaratras, folks. Yes, Zaratras is back in action. He is alive. He is kicking. And when he spoke to Elizabeth, I was mind blown. I was just in distraught as to wondering, like, what is going on now? Like, literally, Nakabe, what are you doing? Where are you heading with these chapters now? Is he going to have some sort of significance? And yes, folks, this character will, because he, if I remember correctly, he is one of the strongest holy knights in existence in this, you could say, this series. He's kind of like almost the Goku, you could say, or the Goku or the Kami, or something along the line of that. He is a very strong character, or like the Vegeta. He's just one of those top characters that hasn't been introduced yet, or I should say hasn't shown the capabilities of him fighting, but the fact that it's just that he's been dead, but now he's alive, which kind of makes it, very, very, very exciting, right there in itself. But continuing on, that's where the chapter kind of ends off, as Zaratras is back. But what I like about that chapter, chapter 180, is the fact that they kind of use the same story qualities as back in chapter 1, or the very first arc where they introduced Elizabeth. Instead of Elizabeth coming to the tavern, it's Lord Zaratras. And I was thinking, like, wow, Nakabe, you're kind of recycling your material there for a second. And if you read it carefully, it was recycled material, but it was still good to read. I personally thought, like, it just reminds you the same thing. There's a wandering knight that's been walking around. Oh, but guess what? It's Zaratras this time. That's crazy. I love how Nakaba is not working too hard in his storytelling wise, but it's keeping it entertaining for a lot of folks out there. But that was it for chapter 180, where that's where it last left off, and it left a lot of viewers speculating as to how he actually was alive and everything. Now, chapter 181, that's where we get to the bulk of a new arc. It's a new introductory set, you could say. Zaratras is back. He's showing off his new goofy ass character self. He's talking with Elizabeth. Hawk is actually kind of persecuting, saying that you're not the Zaratras that we all know of. You're a fake. And then Elizabeth was kind of explaining to Hawk that that's really him. That's how he really acts. And we actually get to learn that Zaratras, how he got captured with Holy Knights Hendrickson and Dreyfus. Yes, folks. Let me tell you it very clearly. Zaratras died because of pie. Yes, folks, pie. He was so hungry because he was doing a late night shift that Hendrickson and Dreyfus offered him a pie laced with drugs. And I'm sorry for life, but I found that as a very good comic relief character because of the fact that in many Shonen Jump story wise is you can clearly see that a very strong character is always weakened by food, and we clearly see that Zaratras was hungry, and he said, "You know what? I'm just gonna take a bite of this, and that's it. That was game over." And I love the fact that I think it was a pun on other characters like Goku, Gon, or just any other Shonen Jump that you could think that loves food, or Natsu. It's so hilarious that the food is actually their weakness. Yes, folks, food is their weakness, and Zaratras' weakness is food. And he said he couldn't even withstand the hunger anymore. So he just said, "You know what? Thug life, forget it. I'm gonna eat it." But enough about that. I love that little scene was entertaining in itself because of the fact that we got to see Zaratras' actual death. Elizabeth even shows her own opinion of how he died too. It was a little comical scene too. It was fairly comical in itself. But then the later the book of the chapter it goes on to being very serious, folks. Yes, and that's where we get to clearly see that. Where Zaratras says, "You know what, Elizabeth, I'm glad that you actually healed Meliodas, but Meliodas is still alive." And that's where people, yes, folks, I actually got very shockingly excited, and now I'm just kind of gasping for air, as to wait a minute, hold on. I know Meliodas is alive. Yes, folks, I know for sure. The main character can't die, but it's just that how does Zaratras know he's alive without even no one knowing that that he has another heart, or he has some sort of power that maybe no one's really told him. But yes, folks, Zaratras is going back into Meliodas' past, and now we're gonna clearly see what exactly is going to happen inside Meliodas' own hidden memories, and it's gonna leave a lot of speculations and theories as to why Zaratras chose a specific time frame. And that time frame was back when Meliodas destroyed the town of Drenafor, and everything left in ashes and ruin. And at the end of the chapter we see Meliodas holding a baby Elizabeth, and that's where the chapter kind of ended in itself. And now I'm personally wondering, is that really Elizabeth, or is that really, you could clearly say, the reincarnation of Meliodas' lover, Liz, if I remember correctly. And I'm kind of confused the fact that, does that character have the power to not reincarnate, but just, I would say, go back, probably a time traveler, or not reincarnation, but you just regenerate your youth back over and over, or transfers your soul into someone else, and then it'll still be the same person, but with their memories, kind of hidden. Because remember, Meliodas is a 5,000-year-old demon, and I'm here thinking about what if Meliodas is really in love with the soul of the person that's trapped in Elizabeth's body, and he knows that it's his lover. It's just that the lover hasn't reconnected her memories yet, and that's what I'm personally speculating right there in itself, because we don't know what's going on with Meliodas. And also, I am still confused as why Zaratras chose that time frame. Why is that specific time frame? What is so important about that time frame that Zaratras has to show Elizabeth. You know, yes, we're gonna get a little flashback and gonna see why Meliodas was with Elizabeth at that time. But you know, why couldn't Zaratras go back even further in time when he was back with the Ten Commandments, so that way they could learn the secrets and weaknesses of the other demons, and why these demons are actually chosen with, you know, with the demon king. You know what? Why that specific time frame? That's what I'm just kind of like focused on. Is just why are you going to show this little scene? Out of all the scenes, he could have chose something else, but this specific scene has to be very much important and very impactful. Maybe Meliodas has left one of his hearts in Elizabeth. There's theories out there saying that he, like I said, he left one of his hearts in someone else, so that way he could never really officially die. But of course, we don't know that yet until the next chapter comes out. But I'm kind of speculating at the fact that maybe Meliodas can transfer his soul into the body, or maybe his demon powers are still, you know, not fully awakened yet, or something along the line of that, folks. Because you know, Nakaba is still kind of giving us thrown in for a loop as to wonder what's the connection with Elizabeth and Meliodas. Maybe that's what he's kind of trying to like connect the dots and say, you know what, now is the time to finally show these characters why these are very important characters to be connected with. And maybe the Goddess clan has some sort of power in order to bring Meliodas back, so that way they kind of need to show this specific scene in order for it to be fully understood. And that maybe, like I said, Nakaba has a weird way of doing things, but it's still following the same traditional storytelling. Why it's just he's showing it very differently from the other shonen jumps, and I'm loving the fact that he's doing that. And also, you know, we can't forget the fact that Zaratras is alive, folks. That's what I'm kind of confused. I thought it was basically the Hendrickson's enslavement of the undead spell. I personally thought it was because of that, but no, folks, it's because of one of the Ten Commandments. She's rising up all the people from the dead because of all their anger and frustration, and they want to seek revenge on the folks. So Zaratras, folks, is back because of that. So basically, if they kill the Ten Commandments, Zaratras is not going to be here no more, folks. So remember that, folks. Zaratras is only here on borrowed time. He's not really alive, as you could say. It's just like Bond's lover. She's there on borrowed time as well. So they kill the Ten Commandments. That's it. So that's how we clearly know that most of these Ten Commandments are still alive. If Zaratras is still alive, so nothing's been really happy with the Ten Commandments and the Seven Deadly Sins. But I'm still questioning, where is Bond in all of this as well? Where is he in hiding? Is he still alive? I'm kind of curious to know what exactly is he planning on doing. Is Elaine actually, you know, healing him, or is she nurturing him? You know, folks, there's a lot of speculations going on with these past two chapters. It's a lot of great story that it's very progressing very rapidly as well at the same time. You know, and I bet you a lot of folks out there are loving how these story arcs are getting together as well. And also, you know, what's up with Diane? You know, like she's losing her memories. You know, they still haven't gone back on that. You know, it's just there's so much speculation going on. But these two chapters were very wonderful in itself, I'm kind of glad that Zaratras is back on action, and he will actually be a fighting force against the Ten Commandments. But I feel like he's actually brought back in order to fight Dreyfus. Yes, Dreyfus, because you know Hendrickson is already on the good side, so he's actually really here to fight is Dreyfus himself. So that way Meliodas can take care of the Ten Commandments, and then you just see Zaratras fight Dreyfus in itself. So that way, see, like I could already kind of clearly see what Nakaba's kind of trying to do. He's already setting up potential fights already, and that's very, very interesting itself. But that's it for today's chapter, folks. Let me know what you guys thought about this chapter. What was your favorite scene about Zaratras? What did you guys didn't like about Zaratras? What are your expectations of Zaratras happening now? What do you guys think about the going to the past memory arc? What do you guys think was going to happen now? Do you think there'll be more going back to the past and unlocking more of Meliodas' memories? Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this chapter. And as always, folks, if you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe. I enjoy Nanatsu no Taizai very much. I'll be trying to make these weekly chapter reviews and other Shonen Jump chapters as well. And as always, folks, have a wonderful day. This is Mr. Zen, signing out.